This is a work of science fiction created with the utmost respect for all people who, like the author, live with Parkinson's disease. Although the story imagines a future in which Parkinson's sufferers develop an evolutionary advantage, this narrative is not intended to minimize the real challenges faced by those with the condition. Rather, it seeks to creatively present a vision of how humanity might adapt and find strength in the midst of adversity. At the end of the 21st century, the Earth reached a critical point of irreversible climate change, upsetting the geological balance of the planet. Scientists began to record an unexpected phenomenon: the Earth began to vibrate permanently. These were not the occasional tremors of traditional earthquakes, but a constant global vibration of low frequency, between 4 and 6 Hz. At first, people perceived it as a mild discomfort, a restlessness in buildings and a constant trembling underfoot. But soon, it became much more disturbing. These vibrations began to severely affect the majority of the world's population. The constant tremors were disorienting, causing exhaustion and mental stress, and infrastructures were not designed to support a world in constant motion. As nations struggled to contain the growing instability, another astonishing revelation became apparent. The Parkinsonians, those suffering from Parkinson's disease, were experiencing something radically different. The Parkinsonians, whose lives had been marked by involuntary tremors, noticed that their symptoms began to diminish. The global vibrations, which so affected the rest of humanity, seemed to cancel out the oscillations of their own bodies. A phenomenon of destructive interference had occurred. The Earth's vibratory waves, oscillating at the same frequency as the Parkinsonians' tremors, acted as a counterforce that neutralized the tremors of the disease. This phenomenon, known in the world of physics, occurs when two waves of the same frequency but in opposite phase overlap, canceling each other out. The tremors that had previously plagued the lives of the Parkinsonians disappeared, and many began to feel stronger, more focused. For them, the constant vibration of the planet was like a calm sea. Scientists tried to understand why the Parkinsonians were benefiting from this global catastrophe. As studies progressed, it became clear that the Parkinsonians were not just adapting, they were evolving. Their neurological connection to the vibrations of the planet gave them a new stability and, surprisingly, an increasing ability to quickly adapt to the movements of the Earth. As time went on, and the normal world became increasingly unstable, the Parkinsonians became a superior class. What was once considered a debilitating disease was now an evolutionary advantage. While the majority of the world's population suffered constant stress and physical and mental breakdowns, the Parkinsonians were the only ones who could operate effortlessly in this new environment. But this phenomenon was not just physical. As the Parkinsonians became more in sync with the Earth's vibrations, many of them began to develop a new sensory perception, a deep connection with the planet itself. This ability positioned them as natural leaders in a collapsing world. The planet continued trembling, and the Parkinsonians began to band together in independent communities, isolating themselves from the sick and weak humanity. While the rest of the world struggled to survive, the new generations of Parkinsonians showed signs of even greater adaptation, faster reflexes, perfect balance, and remarkable physical resistance to the constant vibrations. The Parkinsonians had not only found a way to survive, they were becoming the natural heirs of the planet. As civilizations fell, the Parkinsonians forged a new society. As they expanded, they encountered resistance from the few unadapted humans still trying to survive, but it soon became clear that the world belonged to them. The climatic and geological collapse was the catalyst for a new evolutionary era. The Parkinsonians were now an advanced species, a divergent branch of humanity that had emerged through adaptation to the most extreme conditions. Those once considered sick were now the survivors, while unadapted humans were relegated to the margins of society, unable to thrive in a world that no longer belonged to them. The Parkinsonians no longer feel tremor as something threatening. They feel it as a part of themselves. They have gone from being victims to inheritors of the planet. What was once a debilitating disease becomes the key to survival and dominance in a world transformed by climate change. The Parkinsonians not only overcome their disease, they become the new dominant species on a planet that has evolved with them. Story by Alberto Torres Garza, a Parkinsonian.